For about 4 years, I've been having great success using a fly fishing reel for a number of ham radio antenna applications. And the purpose of this video is actually just to show you the key points, because I keep getting asked the same questions time and time again. So if somebody emails me, ask these questions, I'll be able to direct them to this video. So this is a very inexpensive fly reel, and I was lucky to source this here in Scotland. So I get this from the Glasgow Angling Centre, so it's fishingmegastore.com. It's their own brand, their house brand, Stillwater. It's a PL-C 7/8 size fly reel, if you know anything about fly fishing. The reel comes in 2 different sizes, comes in this one and a 5/6. I would say just get the 7/8 for all the size difference that there is there. But this reel actually comes as a package, so you get the reel with a spool fitted, and you also get 10 spare spools for the princely sum of £24.99 UK pounds, so about $30. And if you know anything about fly fishing, you'll know that that is incredibly cheap. Now, it is a low-cost reel, but for the application that we have, it's absolutely ideal. The reel itself has a hole through the middle of it, which suits a 6mm or a 1/4 inch bolt, which is absolutely fantastic. It's really cheap, so you know, I can't say enough about this. As I say, 4 years I've been using this without fail, and I've never had one fail yet. So let's go and get started, and we'll show you how we do it. So we need to prepare our reel. So this is the reel with the reel and spool, like so. I've got another spool here ready, and this is all that we're going to need. First thing we need to do is actually take 2 screws out here, start preparing this. Screw these out. Like so. So there's a wee spring and stuff. We don't need any of that, we can throw that away. So through the middle of this we have approximately a 1/4 inch hole, so it's about 6.5mm. I use M6 screws going through the middle of this, but 1/4 inch would be fine for you guys across the pond. And on the back you've got these 2 lugs. Now these 2 lugs need to be basically below this face there, so it sits flush. So I just get a pair of combination pliers, put it at an angle, wiggle it, snap it off, it's brass. Same with the other side, wiggle, snap. And if you do that right, you can actually get that, basically that below the level there. So that's the first part of the preparation. Now what we need to do is we actually need to drill a hole into this. This is a 2mm drill that I'm using in this, but just use something round or round about that. The wire I'm going to be using is 1mm in diameter, so you need a pretty small drill. So we want to be drilling on the back of the reel here. So doesn't matter, you can drill this anywhere around the back here, but as long as it's up against the edge, like so. There we go, and that's our reel almost prepared. We actually need to prepare 2 of these, so I won't show you me doing the second one. So we need one like this, reel prepared like this, and we need another one identical, but then we're actually going to fit a little nut and bolt to. So we'll go and do that now. So this is my M3 box of cap screws, and let's see what we're actually going to need here. I think we can get away with this here. So this little M3, I'll put a length of this on the screen here to what this actually is, and what we're actually going to do is one of these narrow slots. We're just going to put that through like so. Push that like that. I'm going to get a plain washer, spring washer, and a standard nut. And I'm just going to tighten that up. Quite often you don't need to put an Allen key or an Allen wrench at the back. We'll just use our that's not actually turning at the back. Just tighten that up, doesn't need to be too tight. So next thing we need to do is we need to get a nylock nut, and we're going to screw that on, but we're only going to screw it on until the nylock catches. Or a lock nut. And what we're actually looking for is this little gap that's in here. Now this is what this is going to do, is this is going to be our slave reel. So when we basically take the, or how I actually do it, basically how I take the braid or the fishing line up, and I come back down the other side, I come in through the inside of the reel and actually hook it on here. So it's quite a simple solution. So next thing we need to do is we need to show you is actually how to attach the wire to the spool. So we've got our two prepared reels here. One with this little M3 nut and one without. So this will be the slave. I don't need this one just now. Put this to the side. And what we're going to do now is we're actually going to show you how you actually fit the wire to the reel. So you can see that we've got our hole drilled there. So what we need is a ring connector. And it might help if I get the right size. Here we go, that's better. So this is a 6mm yellow ring connector. You can get these, I just buy them on eBay. You can buy them anywhere. First thing we need to do is take the plastic coating off. I just give it a little squeeze. So there's our ring connector. Now, the wire that I'm using here is 1mm stainless steel, 316 grade. That's what it comes in. It's marine grade. Don't worry about the losses with stainless steel. I certainly don't. I agonised about it for months, but you know what? On the air, it works absolutely great, and in practice, it's a fraction of a dB down over copper. So don't worry about it. So take our wire, find our little hole, and feed it through, like so, like that. Here is our ring connector. So this is how we're going to make the electrical connection, because you can't solder this with standard solder. So I'm going to make 3 turns, so that's 1, 2, and 3, like so. So you want 3 loops. Now you will have trouble tensioning this up, or you may do. Try and get them like so. They don't need to be fully tightened, but they do need to be at the side, like so. There we go. So that's our wire on there. Then what we need to do is we need to actually crimp this, like that. Keeping the tension on it. Squeeze, squeeze. There we go. Now, we've got a lovely crimp there, and we've actually got a really good electrical connection. I've never had one of these fail. Like so. Then what we need to do is we just snip that wire and snip it as close to the bit you've crimped as possible. Like that. So there we have our connection. Like so. And what we need to do now is we take an M6 or a 1/4 bolt, and we're going to thread it through the middle and have your ring connector like so. So that's how it's going to be when it's in the field. But what I like to do is put a little knot in the wire. You don't need to get the knot just exact, but make it, start it, put your bolt through, like that, and then just pull the wire tight, like so. So if something did happen, there's no way that this wire could actually pull through if something went. So if you've got your fully extended, your wire, you don't need to worry about that. So that's how we make the connection. It's really simple. Again, took me a long time just to come back to this simplicity. So you can see that this is going to be able to turn on our reel, like so. Now, one of the things what a lot of people ask me is how do you then, imagine, obviously I've just got a short length of stainless steel rope here. What people ask is how do you actually attach the braid, the fishing braid? So this is SEMA XL braid. It's very cheap. It's about £2-3 a roll. It's £110 breaking strain, 50 kilo breaking strain. It's more than ample for this. I've never had one of these fail either. It's designed for, you know, a saltwater environment, so you don't need to worry about it. For ham radio use, it's absolutely ideal. And next thing we need to do is we need to attach this to this, but we need to keep it as low profile as possible, because dependent on your application, you may want to actually pass it through some small pulleys, which I use in my application. So let's go and do that. We're going to use something called a nail knot. I'll put a picture of that up on the screen. The secret little trick you need is you need a little bit of a straw. This is just a little bit of a paper straw, plastic one, whatever, a little bit of tube, small diameter, just makes it easier. Now, before you do anything, take a little small piece of heat shrink. I believe this is 3mm glue lined. I've just used red, but whatever colour suits you. Oh, it would help if it didn't fly off. Put that on first. We need that later. So we're going to do our nail knot now. I've not done this for some time, but let's have a go at this. So we put our straw parallel. Now you don't need to cut your string to length or your braid. We can do that after it. So like so, we lay our braid over it and we do a few turns. So it's 1, 2, 3. I like to do 4. And as we come up to do the 5, put your string through the tube or the straw, hold it with the other hand and pull it. Now you get something like that, and then what I do is I then take out the string. Sometimes I need a couple of goes at this because I like them to be neat. And as we pull that, oh, I've done it, we get a very neat nail knot. Now, there's very little friction on this stainless steel wire. We need to do something about that. So what I like to do is I like to pull the knot close to the end of the stainless steel. I like to then pull the braid and get it tight, like so. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to take some super glue. Now, this is actually very important that you do this. I love using this Gorilla Glue. I think it's the best that I've found. It's not cheap, but really good and lasts for a long time. So I just want to give a little dab. Like so, on the end. And then we're going to slide up our knot. Now you need to be very careful that you don't pull it right off. Oh, like so. Now, you can see, I'm just going to use a bit of the super glue that's on there, on the knot, like so, like that. And that's actually, that's attached. And then once this dries, we're then going to bring up the glue lined heat shrink and put it over the top of it. So I can actually cut the tail end off here, like so. When I do this, I like to set it to the side, and I like it to cure for typically overnight, if you can, but certainly let it dry for a few hours. Now we're going to imagine that we've actually done that. So I just need to go and get my hot air gun. This is now fully cured, the super glue, and you just push the heat shrink so it's just over the stainless steel end. We take our flame, just very gently do this. A heat gun would be better for this, and keep it towards the wire side. It's not to burn the rope, and you can see that starting to shrink nicely. Once you get a bit of heat into it, I like to then just form it with my fingers, like so. So there we have it. So there is our connection. There's nothing to it, but it can take a little bit of practice. As I say, if I was to do 10 of these, I'd probably have to redo 2 just when I'm actually making at the knot stage. And sometimes you end up, when you pull this tight and trying to pull it up to the end, it actually comes off. But that's a really good job, and you don't need to worry about that. And when you can give that a good pull, once it's fully dry and cured, give that a good yank and make sure it's not going to come off. As I say, I've yet to have one of these failed. Once you've actually done that, you can actually then go and measure out the length that you actually want to use of this. Certainly if you're going to let like this linear load like the things that I do. So that's our reel. Is I go out in my street and I basically just then measure out the length that I need for this, and then I just use the reel and I wind it onto this reel. So quite simple really. Now what we need to do now is actually show you a real life application, and this is probably my favourite portable antenna of the moment. This is my 100 watt end-fed half wave, and it's good that I've got the cover off this. So here, this is a 110mm M6 bolt, and you can see that it's just connected to the antenna connection, and for the slave reel nothing is connected to this. So this is basically an assembly that I've been using for a long time. There's a lot of wire on here. I think there's about 60 meters of wire, 60, and I think there's about that of the fishing braid. And you can see I've been using it. There's a little bit wear on it, but trust me, it lasts for a long, long time. So what do we need to do? So I'm going to show you the assembly here. So first thing, so we'll do basically the antenna wire itself. If you look at you can look at this, there's just you can see that there's a flat washer, penny washer, M6 nut, and there's a spring washer, penny washer on the other side. So first thing we do is we put our penny washer on, take our reel, make sure it goes through the ring connector like so, like that. So there's our reel on there. There is a bit of play due to the diameter and the hole of the reel, but don't mind about that. We take our next penny washer and put that on. Now, next bit here. This is the bit that basically helps with the drag. So we're going to take a couple of spring washers. I've got 2 spring washers here, like so. I'm going to put one on. I'm going to put another one on. And then we're going to take a butterfly nut, or a wing nut, screw that on. And that's what we're going to use when we want to basically tighten the reel. You can see that that's tight, and then it performs that nice electrical connection. So we just want to, you want to loosen that off so the reel just won't turn by itself. You want it just tension on it. And then we're going to take a plain washer, like so, and we're going to put that on. Actually, I think I got this wrong. I'll put the right length of these bolts in the description. I think they're about 70mm, like so. So we just want to screw that up. So I've got a M10, like so. So when you unscrew the wing nut, it can't actually come off. So when I've got that fully unscrewed, you can see that the reel won't run away. So then we can tighten that up, forms our electrical connection. We want to adjust it, we just loosen that off, pull it out. Really simple, but it works. Same for the slave side, that's even easier. Put our penny washer on, put the reel on, next penny washer, 2 spring washers, wing nut, I like to screw them all the way up and then screw them back to just find the point with the tension. It's about there. And then get our plain washer, put that on, and then get our nylock nut, a lock nut, put that on. Now during use of these, I find that you need to basically maybe adjust them once when you get them in the field, maybe take a 10mm spanner with you. So that's that fully unscrewed, and there we are. That's our reel actually fitted. So that's an application that you can use for a variable length antenna using the Stillwater PLC fishing reels. These are the 7/8 size, as I've mentioned already. I've used this for years, this system. I think it's absolutely fantastic. There we go, guys. That's just one application of these reels for an amateur radio antenna. There'll be loads of others. I also use it on a quarter wave vertical called Adjust-A-Wave. That was where I used it originally. Loads of applications, you know. Hopefully you guys will actually give this a go. I think it makes a really great compact antenna, certainly for travel, that you've not got wire everywhere. Yeah, absolutely great. I'll put a link down in the description to the main components. So the reel, the reel and the spools, the stainless steel wire, the fishing braid. Just use what you can get locally. Everything else you should be able to get a hold of. The glue line heat shrink, that was more difficult. I actually got that from China, from eBay. Right, guys, I hope that was of some interest. Let me know again down in the comments, what do you think, and we'll catch you in the next one. Bye for now.